With all the bullshittery that's gone on in this province in the last little while, I don't think this has gotten enough attention. The NDP brought forward Bill 201, the Protect Workers' Pay Act. And this bill addresses some pretty important things. Now, I'm sure you're aware, Alberta has the lowest minimum wage in the whole fucking country. Ah, the Alberta advantage. We also don't have tip protection law. That means if you tip somebody at a restaurant or a coffee shop, there's no guarantee they get those tips. The boss could keep the tips. You're not tipping the boss, you're tipping the person who gave you service. They should get their tips. The bill also aims to address that pesky little legislation where youth minimum wage is lower than adult minimum wage, because that doesn't make any fucking sense. Work is work. It should be compensated the same. But not in Alberta. Not in Ontario either. It's not a flex. These are the details of the bill. Minimum wage increases starting in December of 2025, $1 a year, through to 2027, and then indexed to the Consumer Price Index, starting in October of 2028. Because we don't do that in Alberta. We just arbitrarily decide what minimum wage should be. It would also revoke Cabinet's power to create regulation for youth minimum wage. It would then also require the minister to introduce protections for tips. I know what you're going to say. I've already seen it online. Tough times for everybody. If businesses have to pay more money, that's going to reduce the workforce. Why? Other provinces seem to be doing it just fine. But more than that, there are ways that you can help to not have the workforce reduced. Stop using self-checkout. Self-checkouts take away jobs that people used to do. At least it's more convenient. Not for the people without a job. I don't use self-checkout. I will wait for a cashier. And if I'm finding that the business that I am choosing to give my money to refuses to add cashiers, bloop. You don't get my business. Everybody talks about affordability, but nobody wants to make a move. If somebody is getting paid for a job, that job is important. I don't want to hear anybody saying unskilled labor. Unskilled labor isn't a thing because every job requires a skill. We can't just use the excuse that we have to keep labor cheap in order to keep businesses. And I know this is going to impact small business, but maybe there are ways to incentivize businesses for hiring youth. We have to start looking at minimum wage because minimum wage also impacts all other wages. You see how that works? And in a world where there are some youth living independently under the age of 18, why should they be making less than someone over 18 doing the same job? They shouldn't. And lastly, even the Blob was looking at tip protection. The Blob! Sometimes you'll see signage that says servers get to keep 100% of their tips. There's a reason why that signage exists. I mean, anybody can put up a sign. It doesn't mean it's actually true. But those disclaimers exist because theoretically, the person you're giving money to may have to in turn turn that money over to the boss, who can do with it whatever they please because there's nothing imposing on them that the person you are giving the money to gets to keep that money. Ick. I don't want to hear anybody saying that we can't do that in Alberta because other provinces do it. So your arguments, your bullshit rationales don't fly. The reason that Alberta has kept minimum wage the way it is, doesn't give a shit about tips or youth, is that they don't actually give a shit about affordability. They don't care about everyday Albertans. They care about business. And I don't mean small business, because they don't really give a shit about you either. Tax the corporations. They got money. They'll be fine. But we also have to start standing up to things like automated self-checkouts. Because if you don't think jobs like that are important, just wait. Danny wants us to be AI land. And then it's just a matter of time before AI takes over your job. And then maybe you have to go work for minimum wage. Thanks, NDP, for actually addressing affordability. And if you're going to say, where's the money going to come from? Alberta doesn't have any money. I'm pretty sure if we shake the UCP, there's a whole bunch of money that's going to fall out. Because where they're putting their money now ain't working.